Am I the a-hole for taking back my PS5 my mom gave to our cousin as a gift? I'm a 19-year-old male. My mother is 57 and my cousin is 13-year-old male. So I waited until 2021 November to try PS5. I've been trying since release. And on the 22nd of November, I finally got one. I was so excited to do everything with this console and couldn't wait that I bought another controller and so many games to have with this baby even though I took out a bit of my time/savings. But this is also the time when people take Christmas presents into consideration, and I kept this like a present to myself. My cousin, I'll call him Joe, has autism, and I love the little dude, but I need to clarify that he's very spoiled and his parents don't do anything to teach him a lesson. He really wanted a PS5, and there were so many tantrums when he didn't get one. So to keep the peace, my mom took my PS5 when I was at school and hid it from me. I was shocked when I didn't see it there, and really started to cry as I spent so much money for it. My mom told me that she took my PS5 to calm down my cousin, and that she'll pay me back. And her idea of paying me back is an iPad. I yelled at her for so long, saying how long it took me to get it and save up money for it. And how dare she do that and invade my space? She hung up on me saying I wasn't being myself and giving me time to calm down. But I wasn't ready to calm down. I went to my cousin's house, rang up the doorbell, took my PS5 and games. I forgot to mention she took the games as well. A £300 iPad isn't going to cover £700 worth of stuff. And then went home. My aunt tried to stop me saying how this is all my sweet baby wants for Christmas. But I didn't care and drove straight home. My whole family's giving me so much pressure, saying I should give it back as it's not my right to go against my mother's wishes. I do feel kind of bad since his family's not that financially stable, and them buying a PS5, if they can find one, will screw up some stuff. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's yours and your mother stole it. That's a crime now. Family or not, doesn't matter. Yeah, it's sad that your cousin's family doesn't have much money, but it's still a crime to steal stuff then. My sister used to give my stuff away. I always took it back from the person who got my stuff. I told her one more time and I'll report her to the police, because it's mine. If your mother want to gift him a PS5, she can buy one and give it to him. This one is yours. My mom used to give away my stuff, so I started giving her stuff away. She never gave away anything of mine again. It's petty, but I'd love for Opie to offer one of his mother's belongings as compensation to the aunt. Not stay home, but make sure you either take it with you or lock it up every time you leave. She will give it back. I hate how families like that. You work your butt off for your things and they try to give them away. I've put a lock on the room where I keep all of my important things, so I don't have to go through it again. Lock receipts and pictures, including a photo of the receipt in your email or storage, whether it's USB drive, cloud, or both. Not stay home. However, I'm guessing your mom did this because she doesn't really understand the difference between a PS5 and an iPad. Seems odd, I know, but I've encountered situations where people think any computer-esque device is either a laptop or an iPad. Tell her to get your cousin the iPad. Tell your mom to go buy him one with her money. Good luck. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my cousin borrow my wedding dress? 5 years ago, I got married, and I had a costume wedding dress made by my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has since passed in a car accident. It was so unexpected, and it broke my husband's heart. So now we are saving the wedding dress for my daughter who was named after my mother-in-law. My cousin Gigi, no direct blood relationship with my mother-in-law, is now wanting to wear my wedding dress. Her mother and my granny are all on this warpath that this is her dream dress, and I should let her wear it. That it would be a tribute to my mother-in-law. Again, this is my side of the family and no direct relationship to my mother-in-law. Gigi was obsessed with my wedding dress when I had it, and she has already said she wanted to wear it. Gigi is not my size, much larger front and hips, so the dress would have to be majorly altered. My husband said no. He wants to have our daughter wear it when she's grown up, and have it altered for her or turned into a veil. My daughter is under a year, and my family said that's years off, and that I should let them borrow it now. My cousin has turned petty at my refusal, and has disinvited my parents, siblings, and their children. She told us because I'm costing her thousands of dollars because she's had to pay for a dress to look like mine. And she's also mad because I won't lend her my dress to have it copied because I 100% don't trust her with it. My auntie and granny have banned me from their life over this because it's the one thing my cousin has wanted since she saw me in my wedding dress. I was told if I don't do this, I'm cut off from any events my granny hosts. And my mom is too because she has raised such a selfish and entitled daughter. Not stay home. They are being ridiculous. However, please don't pressure your daughter to wear it when she's older. She deserves her own dream. Good point. A wedding dress that your grandmother made that your parents have been saving for you your entire life. That's a huge obligation for something that should be a personal choice. Obviously, but most wedding dresses have tons of fabric. So most can be reused as potentially anything, within reason. I have a family friend that turned her 80s wedding dress into christening gowns for her grandkids, and there's still material left over. Not stay whole, but your family has inspired me. There is an amazing apartment with a terrace in my building that I have wanted ever since we moved in. I'm going to knock on their door and demand the apartment, because apparently if you see something you like, you are automatically entitled to it. Absolutely. If they stop you, they're standing in the way of your dream. Or write off the entire side of the family, because they could all pressure Opie into doing something she said no to. What a psycho. He had a former sister-in-law that wrote off the entire side of her husband's family, a brother, side of the family over a comment one person, not immediate family, made to her, which she took as a rude comment. My mother never saw her grandchildren grow up. 12 years later, my brother finally divorced her. Completely toxic situation. And sadly, we don't really have a connection to the kids. Not stay home. She is only entitled to what she can afford. I would caution you to make sure you place your dress in a very secure place. You don't want them showing up to visit, only to later discover they stole your dress. Next story. Am I the a-hole for hiring a babysitter without asking and forwarding the bill to my brother? Plus a little update. I, 23 female, have a nephew and niece, 5 and 7 years old. My brother called last week and asked me to take them for 2 days as he and my sister-in-law had a doctor's appointment out of state. I agreed, but warned them that I can only watch the kids Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, I had a bunch of important meetings, and I will be glued to my laptop for hours, unable to check on the kids. He said he got it. Well, Tuesday around 8 p.m., they were supposed to be picked at 9:30 p.m. My brother called and asked me to keep them another day because they got delayed and have not even started driving back. I got pissed off because if I was told earlier, maybe I might have been able to postpone most meetings or even call in sick. However, no one was at work at 8 p.m., and I find it unprofessional to cancel the same day without a really good reason. I told him to come get his kids, and he became very defensive and rude, calling me unsupportive. To be clear, they went for a tummy tuck for my sister-in-law. No real medical emergency. He called mom, but she had already gone to bed, and he had the audacity to tell me to drive 1.5 hours to her house, wake her up, and make her take the kids. I said no. We fought more with my sister-in-law giving her 2 cents in the background as well, before they hung up and stopped picking up till the next day. I found a nice babysitter the next day, thankfully, and because it was last minute, I paid $200 for a few hours. Still mad, I just forwarded a bill to my brother, expecting him to pay. My sister-in-law called and screamed her butt off, calling me a irresponsible witch, because how dare leave her kids with a stranger? I was in the middle of work still, and hung up on her and just forwarded a bill to her as well. An hour later, my mom showed up at my house and took the kiddos. Now my brother is still refusing to pay, but my mom said I was petty. Things come up, and it was wrong of me not to consult them before hiring a babysitter for so much money. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I don't think I explained well everything because I am still angry. Some facts I missed. I called twice my brother in the morning to inform him of the babysitter. He did not pick up. My mom will work 1 to 2 p.m., and if I had taken the kids to her house, it would have been her neighbor, Marcy, watching them. I start work at 8 a.m., so as you can imagine, I would have had to get the kids up at 4 a.m. and run out the house at 4:30 a.m. to be safe if there is traffic. And that particular day, I worked overtime, so from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If I wanted to save my brother some money, I would have had to screw both with the kids' sleeping schedule and mine. Plus, Marcy was not answering at 9 p.m. We were pretty sure she could take them, but my mom confirmed this only at 7 a.m., which means my workday would have been postponed to at least 10:30 if I was to drop them off with Marcy. Hope this makes sense. Also, I work from home. I was keeping an eye on the babysitter and children. Also to add, my work is productivity-based. I have to file a report every Friday on what I have done and someone goes over it. Some days I work an hour or two, others I stay 14 hours coding. My mom knows this well, and she argued my meetings can be postponed till the next day, which they could, but it would leave a very bad impression with my superiors, as one of the meetings concerned a promotion I had asked for, and they were reviewing my projects and productivity. I am 23, this is my dream job. Maybe my work would have understood considering how chill they usually are, but I was not taking a chance. My career means a lot to me. Now for the top comments before the little update. Not today, home. How would you be able to consult them if they stopped answering their phones? It is on your brother and sister-in-law to find alternate coverage when they were delayed. But they didn't, so you had to make sure it didn't affect your job. They knew you had to work on Wednesday, and their only thought was to have you drive 1.5 hours to physically wake up your mom? Nah, I can see if she maybe lived 10 to 30 minutes away, but not 1.5 hours. They shouldn't have stopped communicating and need to pay up. This whole situation is on them, and don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Your only downfall was agreeing to watch their kids so your sister-in-law could have plastic surgery. This is the thing that shocked me the most. Have your kids. In what world would you stop picking up for well over 12 hours? What if I was not calling to fight, but for something related to their health and well-being? Yup. You don't stop communicating with a person who has your children without a really good reason. And them being told they needed to abide by the original agreement times is not a valid reason to ignore your calls or texts. Not stay home. You gave them the days you were available. They agreed to those days. They tell you 1 hour before they were supposed to pick them up you were getting stuck with them another day despite knowing your situation. For them to call 1 hour before pickup and haven't even left yet means they knew hours previous to that call that they weren't going to make it in time, but chose to not say anything until the last minute, and they wanted you to fix the situation by picking up your life doing a 3-hour round trip to wake your mom up in the middle of the night because they are irresponsible. I'd 100% put my foot down and say until the money's repaid, no future babysitting will be happening for any length of time for any reason at all. After this behavior, no babysitting, period. I spent the better part of my nights panicking what to do and thinking of a very good lie for work. I maybe slept 2 to 3 hours waiting for the morning to start calling babysitting agencies, and if no luck, my manager and get an earful from him. Not stay home. They can afford a tummy tuck and several nights away in a hotel. Then they can afford to pay for babysitting. You might not get the money back, but pay the sitter. Then never take their kids again. Not even 10 minutes. Oh, and tummy tucks aren't a real easy recovery. Definitely let them experience the consequences of no longer having you as a resource when she has her vanity procedure. Now for the little update. I sent this post to my brother, sister-in-law, and mom, and they all went nuts. At this point, I am being petty and a-holish, but I regress. With most people telling not to stay all here, I kinda gained some confidence to lash back further. Thank you. You can all rest assured my brother and sister-in-law are pissed our family's dirty laundry was aired on the whole wide web. Insert an eye roll because account is anonymous, and I have not mentioned any names of parties involved. I have been uninvited from Easter, and I was informed I can stick my $200 where the sun doesn't shine. Well, worth it to annoy them. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not canceling my Bachelorette trip because of my sister-in-law's emergency? Last weekend was my Bachelorette trip. The hotel my friends and I would stay at was booked. We had already made so many arrangements, and I didn't cancel any of that after my sister-in-law had a health emergency and was rushed into hospital. She had a heart attack 2 days before I'd leave for the trip. For context, my sister-in-law and I have always had a very bad relationship because she has been racist towards me. She has insulted my 6-year-old son whom I have from another marriage, She has urged her kids to bully my son, and she claims that if her and my fiancé's mother was still alive, she'd make sure I'd never get married to my fiancé. She's also tried to get my fiancé to hook up with one of her friends in order to break us up. My fiancé is low contact with her, but to this point, I'm completely no contact. And at the wedding, I'm simply gonna tolerate her for my fiancé's sake. When she had a heart attack, my fiancé told me to immediately cancel the trip and plans because it wouldn't be right of me to celebrate while his sister is at the hospital. I told him that I'm not gonna cancel a trip my friends and I have already paid for a woman who would probably celebrate on my hospital bed if I were in her position. He said I'm right, but I should cancel because regardless, it's gonna be a bad look for his relatives if I disrespect his sister like that. He said he doesn't really care. He just wants to avoid the drama of his family. I told him I honestly don't give a damn about what his relatives will think, because all of them were bystanders not doing anything or saying anything while she was horrible to me the whole time. He supported my decision, but after that, his relatives were of course mad at me and cussing me out, and threatened to not attend a wedding. Am I the a-hole? Info. Why are you marrying a man who not only lets his sister treat you this way, but who lets his sister treat your child this way? My fiancé and his sister do not get along either. She was horrible to him as well throughout childhood because they had different dads. She's the oldest one, and she didn't consider him a brother unless it benefited her agenda. They've only been low contact and only wish each other on holidays and birthdays. He wasn't even 100% certain he wanted her at the wedding, but invited her in order to avoid drama with the rest of the relatives. He didn't care about me going on the trip. He only cared about not causing drama with the rest of his family. Has fought with her many times over her actions. Okay, that's good to hear. I still think you're not the a-hole, but I wasn't sure about him. I can't blame him for not wanting drama with the extended family, but if they know how she treats you, then they shouldn't fault you either. And like you say, they're all to blame for not defending you to her. I mean, there is peacekeeper, then there is pushover. There are times to keep the peace, but having someone being racist towards your fiancé and encouraging the bullying of your future stepchild is not it. I would blow up any relationships I had to get that kind of person out of my life personally. Your fiancé is avoiding conflict at your expense. The only people his appeasement policy helps are himself and his racist sister. Not stay home. Sounds like it worked out if the toxic relatives won't attend a wedding. Yep, go and enjoy yourself. If any relatives want to miss the wedding over this, good riddance. Update. Am I the a-hole for turning down a Christmas dinner invitation from my mom's family? Original post. So I, 21 female, am currently in university and live on a dorm, using my own money and everything. My mom, 40 female, had me when she was 19. My dad joined the military to provide, and so he was gone most of the time. My parents split up when I was young, and my mom and I moved across the country. My mom started dating again when I was a teenager, and it was like I became invisible. When she married Gregory, 50 male, it became even different. I grew really resentful when my mom had a new baby, and I'll admit that it wasn't healthy and neither was my attitude. When the time for university came, I got a good enough scholarship and moved out. I'm honestly surprised they noticed I was even gone. I've gotten 2 texts from my mom a year. Happy birthdays and Happy New Year's. Only this year did I get a 3rd text, and that's just to announce I have a new baby sister. So I got an email the other day that was pretty much an invite to a Christmas dinner that they were hosting, and it seems like a lot of extended family are going to be there. I don't want to be there, so I declined the invite. Yesterday, I got a phone call from my mom crying about me deciding not to come for the dinner and really wanting to see me. Then Gregory took the phone at all but called me an a-hole while scolding me. It's made me feel a little bad because she's still my mom, and I feel like I should just go for her sake. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Not stay home. They weren't there for you when you needed them. That's literally a parent's job. Yep, not stay home. She's crying and he's mad because your absence at Christmas will raise a ton of questions about their parenting, or lack thereof, that they aren't comfortable answering because it'll make them look bad. I doubt it. The entire extended family knows, and they aren't hiding that I'm not part of the family according to my grandmother. And she's shown me Facebook photos where they've had captions like complete family to other stuff. And while my grandmother said she'd like me to reconcile, she thinks it's better for me if I don't. As much as I dislike Gregory, I do know him well enough to know that he does love my mom and hates seeing her cry. As for Mom, I'm sure she wants to see me for me or because she feels bad, but that doesn't mean she deserves it. She didn't even invite me with a phone call or text, just an impersonal invite. I really do feel terrible for making her cry though, and do wish I hadn't done that. You didn't make her cry. She cried out of her own feelings of guilt, sadness, or whatever. You're not responsible for her feelings. Only text from your mom each year? No phone calls until now? Not stay home. You do what suits you. They've treated you like an acquaintance since she started dating and eventually married. It would be only normal for you to not wish to attend. Why waste a holiday with people who treat you that way? Your mother's husband's insults prove how he's felt all along. All the best to you. Not stay home. It is telling that you say the invitation is from my mom's family, rather than my mom or my family. Her actions made it so you don't consider yourself part of her family anymore. If your mother wants to reconnect, she needs to do the work of fixing her neglect of you when you were still a minor. And that takes more than an invitation to a family party, where they probably just want you there to play a happy family and make them look good. Having said that, think about the damage control. You say the extended family will be there. Is there anyone where you do care about them or what they think about you? What will your mother and stepfather say about you to everyone if you aren't there? Not being there lets them control what is being said about you. Is this something you can live with? If, say, you like your grandparents and they will be there, having lunch with them the week before and talking to them, letting them know what happened to you, will let you control the narrative. My grandma will be there and she knows everything. She's the only one who I visit and even care about. She's shown me the Christmas cards and Facebook photos they've posted. And it's all in such a way that it's like that's been the only family my mom's ever had, and like it haven't existed. The relatives that'll be there are always commenting positive crap to them too. And now for the first update. So my mom's Christmas party went and passed this past Friday, and I figured I'd make this post as an update. Like I thought, my mom phoned me back because my grandma made her. She asked to meet me in person, but I said I didn't feel comfortable. She said she could bring Gregory or Grandma if it would help. I said hell no to Gregory, which surprised her, but I did agree to Grandma. After no issues, we met in a coffee shop with Grandma claiming she would be a mediator. I looked at my post to see your guys' advice to, I don't know, guide me before I left. I admitted to Mom I didn't want to see her but thought this call would clear the air. I asked why barely only 2 texts a year. And she said Gregory told her that college kids didn't need their moms and would be interfering. I asked why she couldn't at least phone me to invite me, and she said Gregory told her sending an invite made me on the same level as the other relatives, and I would like being respected. That made no freaking sense to me, and I got so mad. I asked why the heck she even wanted me there when she would treat me like extended family. She told me when I was gone, and seeing how Gregory treated their kids made her realize she neglected me. She'd been going to therapy and wanted us to mend things. I pointed out listening to Gregory about me then was the dumbest possible thing she could do since he never liked me. I knew I'd start crying like a little witch, so I started ranting about how I'd rather not meet my half-siblings since I know I'd resent them. They don't deserve that. How my extended family also cast me out. How everyone blamed therapy not working on me. My mom was shocked, and even more shocked when Grandma took my side and everything. I told her I was really sorry that I made her cry and it didn't make me feel better. She forgave me on that, but told me it wasn't my fault, and she deserved it. My mom asked if I'd ever come home, and I said that Gregory would either need to apologize or die. That was a bit harsh since I don't want him to croak, so I said if he leaves forever is good too. My mom said she understood, started crying, apologized like 100 times, and asked if she could text or phone me more often. I said sure, because it still makes me feel awful to see my mom cry. Since then, Mom has texted me and called me every day but hasn't tried to force things. I did not go to the party since Gregory has not apologized. Grandma has been staying with them and things aren't too good between them. They had big fights over him refusing to say sorry and how they treated me and aren't talking. I don't want my mom's marriage to end for the sake of her other kids, but I can't lie, it feels good to not be ignored. Apparently Mom wants to meet on Christmas or Christmas Eve, and as long as Grandma comes, I'll let her, but I don't know if we'll ever be close again. So thanks guys, your advice really did help and I'm feeling better mentally. Good job sticking to your boundaries. I'm happy your mom is showing growth and realizing what was wrong, and I hope your relationship improves even if you're not super close. Also, a hell yeah to your amazing grandma for sticking by your side and acting as a mediator. I hope you have a good Christmas, and that things keep getting better for you. Merry Christmas to you too. I don't know if things will ever get better, but her at least acknowledging she was wrong means something to me even if I don't know what it is. And I really do love my grandma, and I'm happy that other people think she's great too. Yeah, I'm loving your grandma too. But honestly, the first part of this update completely pissed me off. Gregory. I was thinking, does this mom have the basic common sense to wipe her butt after a dump? Or does she get / follow Gregory's advice for that too? But she surprised me. She seems to genuinely want a relationship but is taking steps to make that happen. Best wishes, Opie. I'm glad that your mother is understanding that she did a disservice to you and agrees that she neglected you. That's showing a lot more understanding and contrition that many mothers we see on here manage. I'd encourage you to see if you can build a relationship with your mother now, one that probably won't include Gregory. If it's just painful for you, then you can cut it off. But it sounds like something more positive than that is possible. Please don't feel like you owe it to your past self to cut your mother off or keep her at arm's length, if she's a positive in your life now. I don't see myself ever being around her if Grandma isn't there too. I'm happy that she knows she was wrong, but I don't know if I can trust her enough to give her a second chance to be my mom. And as for Gregory, I think she's finally gotten the message that I hate him. It sounds like your mom is in a really abusive and controlling relationship. Those are hard to get out from under her. While I'm not excusing her behavior, maybe try to see her in that light, and that her actually reaching out to you and willing to meet you on your terms is a huge step for someone in her position. She didn't start treating me bad when she and Gregory got together. That started before, and he treated her like an angel when I lived with them. Maybe it's changed, but that's how it was. Now for the last update. So I did meet with my mom. Grandma came to us per instructions, for lunch. We didn't talk about Gregory or anything. It was just a short meeting over coffee. We just talked about school, the engineering program I'm in, guys I've dated, and stuff. I guess it was nice to talk about myself even if it was awkward. She did ask me to spend more time with Grandma, and that made Grandma smirk, which means Grandma kept her promise about never revealing we hang out. I paid for Mom as a gift, and she gave me an old baby photo of me that she got redeveloped as a gift. I thought that was nice. I let her hug me goodbye. She didn't cry this time, so I don't feel like crap. It still feels weird, and I know it will for a long time. Maybe forever. It's hard letting go of hurts, but it is what it is. Hope you guys have a good Christmas. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for destroying family Christmas? I've been with my wife for about 5 years, married too, and we have a 1-year-old son. My mom is the type of person who doesn't like change, doesn't like new people, and keeps to herself. That being said, she isn't controlling and doesn't seem to care what her kids do with their lives, but she doesn't like when she feels things are pushed on her. She is also someone who will just keep doing what she does without thinking. So when she continued to buy me lavish gifts but nothing for my wife or baby, I didn't think it was malicious. But it hurts my wife that even after marriage, my mom wasn't buying her gifts. I sat down with my mom and explained this. My mom was totally shocked and couldn't believe my wife expected a gift. I tried to explain that my wife is part of the family now, but my mom was upset and said she has 3 kids and shouldn't have to pretend my wife is her kid. She really seemed surprised, so I do think that was genuine. And she kept saying how mortified she would be if her husband expected gifts from her parents, and that she wouldn't be with such an entitled child. Finally, I told my mom to just stop. It is okay if she has a difference of opinion, but she is hurting my wife, and it needs to stop. My mom thought about it for a couple of months, talked to my sisters, who said she should just suck it up and buy gifts for our partners. And her ultimate decision was that she didn't want to host Christmas anymore. I thought she was bluffing, so I ignored it for months. I realized she was serious and said, fine, we can do it at my house. But she didn't want to come. I mailed her a small gift as a test and she mailed it back. Finally, I was like, screw it, and did Christmas with my wife's sisters and their partners. Both of my sisters were miserable the whole time, and one cried, which I thought was crazy dramatic. My mom was on vacation and had her phone off. The sister who cried finally blew up that my wife and I ruined Christmas and ruined our family, and she left early. Her and my other sister called our mom later and finally got her to answer and begged her to do a normal Christmas again. And my mom said she feels like now that we are all getting married and having kids, it shouldn't be her problem anymore, and she will think about it but is leaning towards me. Now my sisters are angry and feel that I ruined family Christmas. Not stay home. Your family sounds exhausting. Getting a present for the partners of your children isn't that strange. And frankly, it's weird that your mom hadn't considered it before. And your sister going into hysterics because your mom went on vacation and wasn't there seems ridiculous. Everyone needs to calm down. Maybe consider heading out of town with your wife next year and escaping the holiday drama. This. Also, your child's partner of 5 years/wife of 3 years and your own grandchildren aren't new people. They're family. The mother is a manipulative witch and the sisters are terribly influenced by their mom. I thought the mom sounded like she had some sort of processing disorder or was otherwise neurodivergent. This would explain a lot. I could overlook no gifts for your wife maybe, but none for your child? That's the much bigger issue. To accept lavish gifts if the baby gets nothing really bugs me. Newsflash, your mother absolutely is controlling. You just never noticed before because you were staying in line. Your sisters are still under the thumb, which is why they're reacting badly to your absolutely normal and reasonable request, and your mother is absolutely abnormal and unreasonable response. But that's their problem, not yours. Raising a kid is hard enough without trying to parents grow adults too. Stick to your guns. Either your wife and child are included in family Christmas, or family Christmas will be just you, your wife, and your child. Let the rest of them sort themselves out. Not stay home. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to host Christmas and ruining my husband's dream? So my husband, 31 male, has always loved Christmas and everything even remotely related to it. While I, 31 female, don't really care. Since my family is not Christian nor do they live in this country, we usually end up spending the holidays with his family. He has always lived in a large household and everyone there shares the same enthusiasm for Christmas he has, which always makes it fun. The problem is that now my husband said that he wants us to host Christmas at our house the next year. And I was like, okay, sure. Until he clarified he meant that I had to host it, prepare the dinner, and do all the grunt work. Now, I have no idea what goes into Christmas. My family's from a different religion, and my childhood only consists of me and my dad. So holidays have never been a huge deal for me. I don't know how to do all the stuff required. He had already told them we'd be hosting Christmas, and I got mad and said, how can you say that without even asking? So I told him clearly that it's not my responsibility to host Christmas for your family, since I really don't care one way or another. But now he's accusing me of ruining his lifelong wish, and he ended up telling his mother about it. So now my mother-in-law and sister-in-laws are blowing up my phone by saying why am I being such a Grinch. He has been sulking ever since we came back last night. I'm firm on my stance, but I'm still wondering since it's just a one-time thing if I should just suck it up. Not stay home. Why can't he do the work? What are you, his employee? Exactly. His lifelong dream is to sit back and host while his wife does all the work? Not stay home. I think it is, actually. Yep. OP, you are not stay home, and you would be justified taking a nice vacation for yourself Christmas weekend, while your husband scrambles to fulfill the promises he had no intention of fulfilling himself. But if you don't want to do that, host a potluck Christmas and spend your time coordinating what others will bring. Tell your dear husband you're on it, but you'll have to delegate work to him. Then make him clean and decorate the house while you tell which relative to bring which food. You'll still have to work supervising, but you'll make it clear to him and everyone else that someone who doesn't celebrate Christmas should not be expected to be a servant to people who do. Not stay home. I knew it. I freaking knew it. I knew the moment I read a title that you were going to be doing all the work. If he wants to host, he can freaking cook, set up the damn table, clean and all that with you. And then telling on her to mommy was also predictable. Yep, I love Christmas. My family go all out every year and it's the best. We start planning 6 months out all the games, menu, etc. But the keyword is we. Every single family member pitches in with cooking, decorating, child-minding, and the cleanup afterwards. There is no way I would do a full Christmas with no help, or only help from the women in the family. Opie's husband is way out of line by demanding this, and to then send his mother and his sister after Opie? He is absolutely an a-hole. Am I the a-hole for leaving my wedding with my wife? Title is confusing, so I will try to explain it as better as I can. I'm male 29, have been with my girlfriend, female 29, for about 6 years. We love each other very much and have a fulfilling relationship. We are, however, a very introverted couple, so when we discussed marriage, we were both on the idea that we didn't want a traditional wedding or a wedding at all. We want to go to a courthouse by ourselves, no friends or family, sign the paper and then go to our honeymoon. In our country, this is very weird since weddings are expected to be massive, over the top, and every member of the family must be invited disregarding your level of closeness with them. We got engaged in relative secret since we were already living together and shared the information with our closest family. When they asked for our plans and we told them, they didn't take it very well and a lot of fights began with both families, but especially with my mother and mother-in-law, who would not tolerate a marriage that did involve the Catholic Church. After a few months of fighting, and since there's a pandemic going on, we went ahead with our plans and got married by ourselves and went on a month-long stay in a secluded cabin. When we returned, suddenly all bad blood with our parents and extended family was magically gone, and both my mother and mother-in-law were again very friendly as if nothing ever happened. After about 3 days since we came back, my mother-in-law invited us to the wedding of one of her friends as proof that all was forgotten. She said she would pick us up so that we wouldn't get lost, which was weird, but we didn't suspect anything. The day of the wedding, we arrived at the location and see that everything is still being put up, so we figured we were a bit early and should help. But then I saw my family and some of my in-laws. Turns out, it was our wedding, and they had planned it to be a surprise. They already had a dress, church, food, DJ, everything. Of course, we were shocked, as we were very vocal that this is not something we wanted. Then they told us that since we were driven there, we wouldn't be able to leave and should just be grateful. Here, the story becomes too long to fit the 3,000 limit, so to summarize, we called a friend to pick us up and we left. Of course, both families are super angry at us and constantly call us to tell us how ungrateful and disrespectful we are. At first, I thought we were right to leave, as we gave our reasons for not wanting a wedding, and especially a religious ceremony. But we've been told they invited over 200 people, and felt very humiliated when everyone arrived and we weren't there. So now we are doubting, and there's nothing like asking strangers for judgment. So Reddit, we, the a-holes? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They basically kidnapped you to perform for them. You have every right to leave. That's exactly what we felt. She drove us there, so we would have to stay. Basically, we were taken as hostages. This story is so insane that I'm questioning that it's real or not. How can people be so self-absorbed they show no regards for others like this? They treated you like puppets. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. They had no right to do that. I told them you didn't want this, and were hoping to embarrass / guilt / shame / trap you into doing it anyway. They're upset that you put them in an uncomfortable position. But that's exactly what they'd planned for you. I'm glad you guys stood up to them as a team. Thank you. Ever since we announced our plans, the guilt trips and manipulation has been over the top. They threw you a surprise wedding? Not the a-hole. If any part of this is true, they are crazy as hell and you should cut contact. Although uncommon in my country and region, this type of surprised wedding is not unheard of. But it mostly happens when people get pregnant or if both families are super conservative and find out that intercourse has been happening. Since this wasn't our case, we didn't suspect anything, but I can see why it would be hard to believe. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting a child-free wedding on my niece's birthday? So me, 28 female, and future hubby are doing the damn thing, hopefully, this year in August. We have been engaged since 2019 and together since 2012, so this has been a long time coming. For some background, I have 10 siblings, I am the youngest, and combined, They have 30 children, 20 of which are aged between 4 to 17 years. For our big day, me and my fiancé chose a date, but not the year, luckily, when we got engaged. And it has been meaningful for us. It is actually my mother's birthday. So our first call was to my mom to ask her permission if she would be okay with us having our wedding on her birthday at some point. To our delight, she was super happy with the idea, so that's that. In addition, one of my sister's child, 8 years old, has her birthday on the same day. So our next call was actually to her to tell her that we would like to choose that date. And the wedding will most likely be child-free because we could never afford to invite everyone. Back then, she was like, yeah, do whatever, you didn't even have to call to ask. So now coming back today, the invitations have been sent and she got hers today, and I get a call from her. Sis, so I wanted to make sure that the sentence, please leave your children home, does not extend to your relatives, right? Me, this extends to all of our invited guests, family, and friends alike. Sis, but I am your sister. Why should we leave them home? Besides, I have promised XY all this time that we will be going to have a great dance party at your wedding for her birthday. Me, I am sorry, but I told you that beforehand when I asked about the date as well. We cannot afford to invite so many guests. Think how many children there would be. Sis, no, but you should make an exception because it is her birthday. And I promised we will go. I know some of my other siblings are mad about the child-free thing as well, and we are getting a lot of heat for it. My fiancé has a very small family, so I feel bad constantly that mine is so huge. We just want a cool party with just close relatives and friends, and not to mention COVID has set quite the limit. So am I the a-hole because I knew my chosen wedding date was someone's child birthday, and I knew that I wanted to have a child-free wedding, and now I do not want to make an exception? Not the a-hole. You called to ask and got permission. Your sister is the a-hole for backtracking. Exceptions will cause drama with other parents. I totally agree as long as OP is fine with a lot of her family members declining the invitation. They don't have a right to be mad, but they do have a right to stay home. Why would a lot decline? My parents used to attend all kinds of events that were child-free. I could understand if the one sister did because it's her kid's birthday, but why would others? Not a a-hole. This is a date that is special to you. You told her what you were doing. She chose to promise her daughter something that, frankly, wasn't in her control. Aside from the fact that she blatantly disregarded what you already told her. There is nothing wrong with child-free weddings. Your family can suck it up and get over it. I was not invited to weddings as a child. This could be regional/country specific. But why does it seem people freak out now when their children are not included? Most people getting married do not have their own children, and you are putting more pressure on them when you want this many children included. Also, the last place I would want to be on my 8th birthday is a wedding. I get it. It puts the parents in a tricky spot that they're either not with their daughter on one of her birthdays or they miss one of their siblings' weddings. Since there are 30 little nibblings running around, they could probably hire a group of teens to watch all of them at the same time instead of each individual family hiring a babysitter. This is also assuming that their other side of the family cannot watch them for one evening. Not the a-hole. There's nothing wrong with wanting a child-free wedding. And if you have 30 nibblings, it's going to be a decent likelihood that there will be a birthday. If your sibling wants to stay with their kids instead, that's their choice. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to celebrate during the day, just not at your wedding. Think about this. There are 52 weeks a year, or roughly 52 weekends. There is mom, 11 kids, plus spouses/partners, and 30 grandkids. Excluding spouses/partners, that is 42 birthdays. Opie's family is averaging one birthday a week. Assuming everyone has a partner now, you're up to 53 birthdays. I think Opie is screwed on trying to find a weekend where someone can't lay claim that it is so-and-so's birthday or birthday weekend. Edit. Thank you all for your thoughts. When choosing a date, we went with my mother's opinion, and with my sister telling us we shouldn't have even asked her about it. Reading the comments, I do realize that not being a parent myself didn't think about a few things. I also did some math, and there is a birthday/anniversary of someone else in every 7.8 days in my family. So I was screwed from the start. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to sign a postnuptial agreement in exchange for a down payment? My 27 male, wife 27 female, and I got married over COVID and thus had a super small wedding. Only immediate family came, and it was a 12-person wedding for only about $2,000 total. Her parents paid for her dress, I paid everything else. My wife and I are now house hunting, and the market is ridiculous right now. My in-laws are pretty financially comfortable and offered to gift us a 20% down payment since they didn't have to pay for a wedding. But they want me to sign a postnuptial agreement, stating that if we were to divorce, all the equity from their gift would go to my wife versus split 50-50. I told them no thanks. I don't want any gifts with strings attached. Neither of us wanted a prenup, so I don't want a postnuptial agreement either. I make about 50% more than the wife and knew there was some risk, but that's not the kind of marriage I want. My wife agreed. We just lost another house bid, and my wife brought up how we could be more aggressive if we accepted her parents' help. I told her my stance hasn't changed. If they removed a caveat, I will, but I don't want them to have any involvement like that, and I want to keep our marriage attorney-free. She gets it, but is getting more antsy about not winning any housing bids, and thinks I should reconsider. Her brother, who I know pretty well, also is now trying to get me to agree to it, saying I should put aside my pride so we can get a better housing for our future family. Planning to have kids soon. But I just feel like they'll breed resentment and cause drama that I don't want in our marriage. Edit. It's not like we'd be homeless without their support. I make a good living and she does okay. It's just the housing market is pretty crazy right now, and we live in an expensive housing market. I don't want a loan from them, even if zero interest. We don't want more debt than we'd originally be planning to take on with our current budget. I'm not trying to negotiate a postnup to be more beneficial to me. The whole point is that we both agree to a marriage without getting lawyers involved, which is a binary matter here. Now for the top comments. Not a hole. Gifts with strings are never a good idea. You are right to avoid this. Agreeing to it being a loan with an interest rate to be paid off when the property sells would make more sense, but all the future equity is unfair and inequitable. Unless she makes all the payments and pays all the expenses. No a-holes here. I totally understand all the different sides of this issue, honestly. You don't like the idea of the strings, but also probably they're doubting the long-term validity of your relationship. Your in-laws don't like the idea of a possible divorce in just a couple months would entitle you to half of their hard-earned money. Your wife doesn't like being in the middle and wants to get a house ASAP. As a parent, I would probably also like a post-nuptial agreement for a gift of a significant amount of money. But there is a reasonable solution that all of you are overlooking. Get a post-nuptial agreement that expires in X years. This would solve both their concerns and also have a null impact on your relationship, assuming that you are in it for the long haul anyway. It's not about how many years it would apply. We went into our engagement with me making significantly more, and I likely always will. I knew going into the marriage that divorce is possible, but we both agreed to jump into the marriage with 2 feet. I'm not saying, oh well, I should receive the majority of equity for mortgage payments then, because I'm paying a bigger portion of it. We didn't want a lawyer-involved marriage in general, which is pretty binary to me. That's not a postnup. If your in-laws want to give you 20% down, you and your wife can drop a contract with her parents stating that if you divorce, you and your wife will give her parents their 20% back. Or you could treat it as a second mortgage loan from them. It's obviously not a gift if they want the money back. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole? My mother gave me an ultimatum last night regarding my wedding. Background. My older brother is an embarrassment. He's racist, awkward, weird, a drunk, and is also 16 years my senior. My partner and I got engaged on New Year's Eve. Our original plan was to do a city hall wedding, then bop off to our honeymoon. Unfortunately, we decided to have a small party with family and best friends. The problem, I asked my mother not to have my brother at the wedding. At no time has any member of my family supported me this past year. I have earned 2 additional accreditations in my field, teaching, taken multiple foreign language classes, published 2 books through my small press publishing company, and have assumed the role of financial guide for my mother after my dad passed away 2 years ago. My brother and sister have done nothing to show support for me. My brother never misses an opportunity to insult my weight. Had weight loss surgery in 2018 and have lost a ton, but he still attacks me about it. It never misses an opportunity to call me fat, which is obviously disgusting. My mother initially said okay to my request to not have my brother at my wedding. Then yesterday, she gave me an ultimatum and said if he isn't invited, then she won't come. My sister won't come, my aunt won't come, and my niece and nephew won't come. They're 8. I plan to talk to my therapist about this tonight, but I'm not a a-hole. I live with my mother and brother. Not a a-hole. When someone says I won't come to your wedding, or anything else for that matter, if you don't do X, Y, or Z, the response should be nothing other than, that's a pity, you'll miss a great day. Don't argue or try reason. They rarely mean it. They just want their way. Leave them be and don't engage. She'll go, and frankly if she doesn't, then screw her. Easy for me to say I appreciate. Thank you. If I were you, I would stop helping your family out. You did what you could to help them, but it seems like they're a negative force in your life. You need to surround yourself with people who will reciprocate your support and positivity, not soak it up like a sponge. Not a hole. And your reply to her should be simple. That's too bad. You will be missed. And then drop it. Do not discuss it further. That's too bad. You will be missed. Are they really going to be missed? Anyway, not a hole. Wedding day is a day of love and happiness. There's no place for people who doesn't provide any of those things. Not a hole. Okay, see you when we get back from the honeymoon. And move out. Not a hole. Your wedding. Call her a bluff. And good luck with the wedding. First story's titled, Am I the a-hole for hiding what I got left by my grandma from my stepsister? My parents are divorced. I, 16 female, lost my grandma from COVID in April. She left me her really cute and also delicate jewelry, and all the jewelry she had gathered over the years, including some nice necklaces, bracelets, and rings. Her engagement ring was there too, but my dad kept that safe for me anyway because I think he was a little worried my mom would try to claim it. Anyway, when the stuff first made it into the house, my stepsister, 14 female, took an interest in everything I had and wanted to look and touch and for me to share. I told her no. She was upset and said we need to share things, and I told her not when it was sentimentally valuable and something my grandma left me. She told me we're sisters, so I should share, and I told her no because she has nothing to do with my dad's side of the family. It got more heated. My stepdad wanted me to share. My mom told me to let her use one thing occasionally. Eventually, I had enough of trying to protect it, especially after I caught her searching my room for it, and I made the decision to leave it at my dad's, and then I decided to leave there more than here. So, I only see my mom every other weekend, and my mom still thinks I should have left it there for sharing. I explained my decision to her, and she told me that it's unfair for me not to share when I would be a bio sister. I told her I would if my grandma was their grandma, but she has nothing to do with my grandma, and never did. She told me that's not fair when she's as much my sister as a bio would be. I said, no, she's not. Not when it comes to my dad and my paternal family, because she will never be part of their lives or get anything from them, and she's not entitled to it. I said she has her dad's family if she wants that kind of relationship. My stepsister has been calling me a witch ever since I took the box away. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You handled the situation very well, and I'm appalled that the adults in the house couldn't respect your decision. Exactly. Not the a-hole. Your mother or steps do not get to decide what you do with your inheritance. God forbid she lost one of the pieces, they wouldn't take the blame and twist it on OP. Not the a-hole. Not even close on this one. Who demands someone else's sentimental inheritance? Your mom is the biggest a-hole because she should be the adult voice of reason. Plus, it's not her late mother's jewelry, so why is she involved? Your dad keeping the engagement ring safe is very telling of your mom's behavior. Glad you have your dad's place to get away to, and some things to remember your grandma. That's probably exactly why she's involved. It's her former mother-in-law's jewelry, so she doesn't feel the need to respect sentimentality, because for her there isn't any. As far as she's concerned, she just wants to go with the action that will lead to a quick resolution, and quiet things down in her home, which is to force Sophie to share. She'd probably be more understanding if it was her own late mother's jewelry. Not a a-hole. The stuff is the final gift from your grandma. The value it holds because of that is incalculable. Blended families are tricky. I get them wanting equality and fairness, but that should apply to how they treat you, etc. It has no bearing on your inheritance. The lack of respect for your boundaries isn't pleasant. Is your stepsister normally indulged? Used to having her own way? There has been a lot of, we're family now, we share and we don't let this step define things. And she has liked it and embraced it, and they let her use it to get her own way more. Yeah. That's wrong. Share a console, take turns to pick a movie, have equal allowance, equal chores. But taking from one to give to the other isn't being balanced or giving equal treatment. That's preferential, and literally the opposite of what they're saying. They basically view it as it's wrong for me to say what I do because we're family, which makes her my grandma's family, but she never was. They never met, and they never had anything to do with each other. She's not married into my dad's family or related by blood, so that's it. They did that stuff when we were a little younger too. She got this trampoline for her birthday, and my mom kept pushing me to use it because I had wanted one when I was younger. But it was a one-person trampoline, so it meant if I used it, she couldn't, and it was just so weird. Now let's read the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to invite my brother to my wedding? About 5 years ago I was engaged, and my then fiancé ran off with my best friend and roommate. This led to all sorts of bad things happening. A few months later, my brother got married to his longtime fiancé, and I found my ex was the maid of honor at his wedding, and he made a guy she ran off with his best man. Ever since then, I have refused to have anything to do with my brother. Recently, my brother and his wife had a baby, and due to some postpartum issues, my mother has been caring for the child. So recently, my fiancé went dress shopping and invited her mom, my mom, at her wedding party. Apparently, during the drive, my mother started talking about how I should just forget what happened, forgive my brother and move on. When I was told this, I lost it. I told my mother I would never invite my brother, and that he has no place in my life. He's not a brother to me. She also thinks that because my other brother in Germany is coming, that my younger brother deserves to see him. I said that's up to him, but not at my wedding. My fiancé says I should bury the hatchet, because it's not fair that my nephew will never know me. I said if the child reaches out to me later in life, I am fine with that, but I stood my ground about not letting my brother attend a wedding, or be part of my life. This has been going on for months, and it seems like everyone is leaning to his side. Am I really the a-hole here? Edit. For everyone asking if he's ever apologized, he hasn't. 1 year he did have my mother give me a Christmas present. It was a doormat with my name on it. I thought it was insulting. My mother said it was him trying to extend an olive branch. Edit 2. For those asking about my relationship prior, my brother and I had a healthy relationship prior to this. The general thought process is that his wife didn't have a lot of friends here, so my ex was one of her only local friends. She would be the maid of honor. Douchebag was now her boyfriend, so my ex wanted to walk the aisle with him, so made him the best man. Obviously, this was never going to sit well with me, so the easy thing to do was not to invite me. I'm guessing they thought I would just let it go as I'm usually a mild person. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He gave you a doormat as an olive branch? A doormat? A very telling gift. The fact that it literally had my name on it didn't help. He's literally mocking you and calling you a doormat. Your parents are enabling him and using his child as something above you. Leverage. Take note. 1 year he did have my mother give me a Christmas present. It was a doormat with my name on it. I thought it was insulting. My mother said it was him trying to extend an olive branch, then gift him some toilet paper with his name on it for Christmas. After all, it's the thought that count. This actually made me laugh. Thanks for that. Not the a-hole. Excuse me? He made that guy his best man? And called you a doormat? Did I miss something? Why on earth would you ever want to see him? I don't, but my mother seems to think I should get over it. And my fiancé, while she understands why I'm mad at my brother, feels I should bury the hatchet for his child's sake. No offense, OP, but you and I both know their child will survive just fine. I mean, yeah, probably. One small fact that I did leave out because I didn't think it was usually related was, my brother and his wife had a baby before. The baby died at 2 months old due to sudden infant death syndrome. That's probably why my mother is caring for the new baby. I think my fiancé wants to have the opportunity for us to care for the child if the need arises. I don't know that for a fact, but I kinda assume, and I feel like that is part of why she wants me to mend things. Side note, my fiancé has never met my brother or his wife, but my mother has brought a baby around. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for erasing my brother? My older sister, Laura 30, younger brother, Elon 26, and I 27, were always really close. Our childhood was difficult. We each portray our scars in different ways. Laura learned that hope brings nothing but pain, cynical but loyal. I'm socially anxious with an intense fear of getting in trouble. And Elon was a problem child with anger issues. Elon has a learning disability, and it affected his ability to progress through school. He scraped by elementary, barely attended middle school, and dropped out of high school nearly the second he got there. Although Elon and I are only a year apart by birth, we were 3 grades apart by the time I graduated elementary school. My mother wouldn't allow us to be in the same school once I entered the 9th grade. My school went from 6th grade to 12th school due to how his outbursts was handled. His teachers never could handle him, but never wanted to admit it. So instead of calling, heaven forbid, his parents, they'd call me or my sister. The issue started when he began stealing. Everything. iPads, phones, money, anything he could get his hands on. I'd been saving my barista tips and walked in on him stealing them after I said I didn't have any money to give him. He just shrugged and said, I wanted it and you knew I'd take it. He was not on these. He felt like he could have whatever he wanted. He's charismatic and people generally like him. He knows it. Ultimately, though, he was kicked out of the house. My mother has a soft spot for him and would invite him over whenever possible. As such, he came by for Christmas a few years back. Great. After he left, the family went to visit family. Upon returning, we found the presents gone. Elon later admitted to taking them because he wanted a PlayStation. That was it for me. My dad tried to talk to me into forgiving him, but no. The next year, my brother broke into my father's, parents are divorced, house. My father has since stopped trying to have a relationship with Elon, but thinks I should try. Elon hasn't done anything terrible in the last 3 years, but the family has also taken measures to ensure that he can't. We don't post on when we are going on vacation. We don't invite him to family reunions. If he is in the house, we don't leave him in a room alone. I've cut Elon out of my life. I don't speak to him. I don't acknowledge him. I don't even say his name. As far as I'm concerned, he no longer exists. However, some of my family has been putting pressure on me to forgive him and mend a relationship. They say he's trying to change. He's got a steady job, he's trying to get his GED, and is finally dating a girl his age. He usually dates just made legal girls because women his age notice that he can't read. My family and sometimes friends say that it's unfair for me not to give him a chance. I told them that I hope he's doing well and lives a successful life, but I don't want him in mine. It's a touchy subject and always leaves my parents irritated with me. Am I the a-hole for erasing my brother? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't burn down the bridges on him, did you? He burned them down himself. That's the problem I'm having. No one thinks he burned bridges. He certainly doesn't think so. Everyone thinks he went off the deep end, and I burned the bridge while he drowned. Not the a-hole. You gave him a lifetime of chances. He used them to steal from you, and then blame you for it. He wiped out the entire family's Christmas in order to get himself a PlayStation. You reached your limit, and you are allowed to say when enough is enough. Clarification. I had to cut out a few explanations because of a character limit. Elon didn't steal the presents to sell them for a PlayStation. We'd bought a PlayStation for our youngest brother, 7 years at the time, and Elon wanted it. He just took all the other presents as well. It's why I was so upset. He stole from his baby brother, a kid who loved him unconditionally. Not a a-hole. Has this kid had any therapy? He's a checklist of failed systems and parents who couldn't cope with fighting the system. Don't blame them. It's a broken, failing system. Hope you all get what you need. Therapy isn't really something we do in my family. God knows we need it. But no, none of us ever had it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for flaunting my marriage to my sister? So, My husband and I have been married for about 2 years, and my sister has been married for 7. She has 2 toddlers, so wouldn't be doing anything for New Year's Eve, and we're neighbors, so my husband and I went over to her place to just hang out before we headed out for a night. The 4 of us were sitting and talking, and we went on a trip down memory lane of all the stupid things we did as kids, and I told a funny story of something our brother did which was very stupid, but also hilarious. But he was a teenager and is now just a funny story. He's an aerospace engineer now. When both of our husbands weren't in the room, she turned to me all mad and said, "You shouldn't say stuff like that about our family in front of the husbands. They'll judge them and think they're stupid." I was quite shocked. So I said, I never really had to worry about that with my husband because we love each other's family like our own, and he would never judge. Which is 100% true. Both our families have some colorful characters, but we've never cared nor judged that. Well, this pissed her off more, and she went off on me saying I'm flaunting that my marriage and husband is better than hers. We left soon after. My husband said I should have just smiled and agreed to keep the peace, but I wasn't being nefarious in telling her that I genuinely have never worried about what information about my family I tell my husband. So, am I the a-hole for telling my sister my husband doesn't judge our family and loves them as his own? Edit. To everyone saying I should reach out to my sister to see if she's okay. Since she's been this way for the past 2 years, I have regularly tried and even got my mom to try to get her to talk about what's going on, but she's always been a very, very private person and a perfectionist, so we haven't been able to get her to open up. The last time I tried, I told her that they should get family therapy. I don't know if they went or not, but she's certainly not the kind of person who would tell me if she did. Not an a-hole. Your sister is projecting her relationship insecurities onto you, and you shouldn't have to take it just because you have a healthy living relationship with your husband. Sister was drunk, I bet, exaggerating her insecurities. Just because she's insecure in her marriage does not mean you're flaunting yours. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Her insecurities about her husband aren't your fault. You made your comments in complete good faith, so you're not the a-hole here at all. Not the a-hole. Is this a new personality trait of your sister? I'm just asking because some women do 180s and turn into insufferable monsters when they have kids. Your sister is being ridiculous, paranoid, and hyper-defensive. She's been a bit snippy about some things since I got married. If I share a happy story or something cute my husband did that made me happy, which she used to do regularly with me for the 7 years she's been married, she'd make a negative/sarcastic comment or mean joke about it. So I just stopped sharing such stories with her.